discussion more into perspective, right? So when we talk about economic inequality, what aspect of the economy is really the most problematic, especially when it comes to inequality? Of course, I'll mention some obscenities towards the end, such as unions, social transfers, and taxes, right? People are very corporate. In the corporate world, these are things you don't hear often. So we'd like to hear your thoughts on those alternatives later on during the Q&A session. We shall move on with our discussion with Saudara Jana from Sayanat Bangsa Malaysia. He is also a key editor of the Social Inclusion Act, which is a grassroots attempt to bring the discussion of poverty to our lawmakers. He can tell you more about that when he presents. So let me just fetch his. I shall pass the floor to Saudara Jana. Please welcome him.
Friends, everyone on Bangsa Malaysia. First of all, thank you to IRF for this invitation. Second, personal thanks to Fuad, because I was a civil servant for 31 years and resisted all attempts to become a member of any kind of club, including this one. So, because of Fuad, when he sent me and said KGPA, I was suffering because this is my first time here. Gives you an idea of where I come from. But basically, before I know this has been a very long session, I'm going to try and cut it very short, but I have some very essential stuff to give. But before that, I always believe that you need to have a context to it. So I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you have your garbage collected from your doorstep or from your front gate? All. Wonderful. Because you are the 48% households in this country that get garbage collected from outside the house and you don't even worry about it. Okay? Sometimes you tend to throw it into the drains, but that's okay. Alright? Because there are 30% of houses who have to actually carry their baggage, garbage, and go and fetch some 100 or 150 meters to the dumpster. And the rest, you know where it goes. So if the Klang River is polluted, you know where it's coming from. Okay, this is the context about inequality we're going to talk about, because yes, it's about income, it's about wealth, it's about everything else, but do I just put out? So I just want to cover 3 points. As the two speakers have said, poverty and marginalization is a real reality here. And I just gave you the garbage example. Alright? But current policies and institutions for the last years have not really addressed it. And we really need to think differently here. But just some context. 43 years ago, we had this wonderful document called the Hukum Negara, which very clearly spelled out that we wanted to achieve national unity and do a whole lot of things. This is the preamble. And you know what? Every time I put this preamble out, even school students don't know this. Although it's at the back of their exercise books. All they know is kepercayaan kepada Tuhan and all that, the 5. But they don't know that these were their aspirations. Okay? So I just want to give a context to it. At the same time, you had 2 documents came together in 1970-71. NEP, which clearly said overriding goal is national unity. Objective is to eradicate poverty irrespective of whatever, and to restructure our society to reflect the economic function. And the premise has always been, whether from the NEP or now the new economic model, it's always growth with equity. Okay? Growth with equity. Okay. But I think the story you have heard today is not the case. Okay, very quickly, because I know numbers, a lot of numbers have been shown to you, but very quickly I'd like to set the broad canvas. This is the population. Things have changed since 1970. This is 2013. Okay? 28.3 million people, roughly 1.3 million non-citizens in the mix, which were not there before. Most of them are working for us. Alright? But an important number there is look at the total households. About 6.3 million households, and 71% are urban. This was exactly the reverse in 1970. 70% was rural and 30% was urban. Now it has changed. And the median age, which is 50% of the population, is below 2,000. And then, talking about median income, these 6.3 million households, 50% of them have a monthly income of 2841. Alright, 50% of the 6.3 million households have an income of 2841. And you can see the wonderful mix we have here in terms of the almost 17% of the labor force are non-citizens. Many refugees and asylum seekers, we don't know the number, but it's roughly between 90 to 120,000. So it's a very nice, dynamic, diverse society. Whatever the numbers you have seen, really don't reflect the truth. Poverty is still very real to a lot of people. Income inequality, like Hokan said, is been like that since 1990s. It's not going away. It is still high. Alright? And the current systems are not going to address it. Okay, this is the official poverty story. This, as Mary said, 3.8%. So basically, why worry? We only got 250,000 households that are poor out of the 6.3 million. You might as well give them BRIM every month and solve the problem. Okay? If it's just about income poverty. But it's not. I will challenge any minister to survive on $6 a day in Peninsular Malaysia. Because that's what the PLI is about. The poverty line income is totally unrealistic. 763 for a household of 4 in Peninsular Malaysia. You cater for 8 items here, including recreation. So if you can survive on $6 a day, that's wonderful. And therefore, you do a simple calculation using an average PLI of 800, 3.8% government. But if you just increase it by 200 ringgit, the number jumps up to 7.4. And we think a realistic PLI, at least for the moment, is 1,005. Then we are talking about 21% of households in this country struggling. Okay? So I think this is the picture there. Here, they talked about income inequality. This is a picture from 1990. Roughly, you have this proportion, 1.2 million top 20% households earning around 50% income share, the middle 40 or 34, and the bottom consistent. Okay, this is just income. Hokan and Mary talked about wealth. And if you were a donut, this is what they will be having their share. But even then, you just look at the top 10% and bottom 10% households, we are talking about the top 10% having about 33% of income, and the bottom 10%, about 600,000 households having about 3% of the income. This is very serious. So I think it's also a recipe for disaster if you don't want to do something about it. I don't want to talk about the current system, but in a way it's like that. Okay? It's everything comes from the top to the down and it filters away and it gets leaked somewhere. Okay? And we got all kinds of E and one Azam and one that and one this, so I'm confused. Okay. But basically, what has been the planning that's been going on in terms of the current system, the policy thrust has always been on economic development, not holistic. Alright? A lot of ethnic-based prescriptions. Imbalance. Recently, 2 days ago, Dr. Jayakumar, who is the MP for Sungai Siput, lost his appeal case to get development funds. Very clearly, if you are not a government MP, you don't get funds to help your own constituents. Alright? So this is the kind of thing that happens all the time. And certainly, in all our policy planning, whatever plans, we do not include the non-citizens, whether they are workers or they are illegals or they are asylum seekers. And it's always one shirt fits all. Here you go, I give you this wonderful goodie bag and go and get it done. And we all know problems are customized to locality. individual families have different sets of problems when it comes to poverty and climate issues. Alright? And there are lots and lots. I won't even talk about, look, hey, I was an ex-civil servant now, so I know how the system works, alright? There are thousands of agencies involved in poverty eradication. But when you ask them to produce what is the actual outcome in terms of effectiveness, it's difficult. Everybody will give you numbers, you can't find out how to do that. Okay? And data. All of us dealing with 2009 data. 3 years ago. This is rubbish. Today, if I want to know what is the situation of poverty in the United States, I just go on the web, I will get it by district. We need that kind of information to have a proper response. Alright? And don't talk about Parliament. Parliament is not even involved in monitoring anything. Okay, basically, the summary is 40 years of growth with equity has failed us. Okay? And just give a very quick snapshot of the bottom 40%. You talk of the bottom 40% as if they are all the income units out there and they are not connected to us. Hey, come on, we are all Malaysians now. Whatever happens down there is going to affect us. You don't think so? You live in suburbs where people are also from the bottom 40%. Whether it's Subang Jaya or Bangsa or Ark Market, Bukit Taman, Kelang. And when the crime rate goes up, what do? Gated communities, employ security guards. One of these days, the same security guard, it comes from the bottom 40% is where they want your house. I guarantee you that. So let's not talk about ad hoc solutions to deep problems that have deeper causes. Okay, this is your bottom 40%. You just look at the education status. Those in the workforce from the bottom 40%, 52% have no formal education, no certificate. UPSR, 4%, PMR, 18%, SPM, 25%. And I don't even want to go into the quality of these qualifications. Because if you know the latest evaluation done for the teams, all our children are at least 3 years behind their peers in that test. Okay, so that's how bad we are. Okay, these are real pictures. I do research on the ground, so I know these are real pictures. This is what it is. Basically, when we talk about inequality or hotline, we are talking of, it's multidimensional. It's just not education, it's not unemployment, it's nutrition, it's health, it's a whole host of things. Alright? And this is the people who don't have somebody coming to collect rubbish for them. Alright? So, in understanding this, you will also be not so judgmental when you start saying, oh no, these people, they're all drug addicts, useless, they want to be poor. I think we need to be a bit more sympathetic when we talk about these issues. Every issue here you will find in the bottom 40% households. Right now, I'm doing a study in Klang. Just 500 households are already found 60% involved in some kind of substance abuse. 60% of the families have some child involved in some kind of. This is a serious problem. And I don't want to talk about the drug barons who bring their pushers and their peddlers to these places and make tons of money out of those people. Okay? Okay, basically I think we all know that we really got to break this cycle. Well, depending on the current system, it's not going to work. Simply because all of us here, including me, we are all trapped in this politics of identity. When you ask somebody who are first question, Malay, Chinese, Indian, why? Why nobody asks human being or not? Come on, let's be serious. This is 21st century Malaysia and we are still talking the old stories. What does it matter? If he's poor, he's marginalized, he needs help, we help. We do the right things. Okay? So this is our proposal. saya anak bangsa Malaysia and Akam has come out. We have actually drafted the legislation. It's on our website, you can go and check it out. It's called the Social Inclusion Act, and it basically tries to address this issue about poverty and marginalization. Alright? There are some key components there. We understand that disadvantages are multidimensional, intergenerational, meaning the father is poor now, chances are pretty good the child will become a poor parent himself and produce poor children. This cycle cannot be broken by handouts, by one-shirt-fits-all programs. It won't happen. Alright, we really need to address this. And basically our policy thrust in these three areas are: first, looking at the poor, empowering the poor and low-income households. Second, caring with dignity for any society will have people who cannot live and work independently. This is our job to take care of them. They are disabled, some form of disability. We have to have them. We have to set aside. And last but not least, we have to think about protecting and advocating the rights of those who come and work for us and get bashed up in police stations, in lockups. Nobody knows about it because we are quite happily living in our comfort zones. Alright? We have to start speaking out for them. The key components of this social inclusion is the first, setting up of an independent commission. And truly independent commission, I will give you the details of it later. We have to involve our MPs and adults in this process of trying to solve this problem. We cannot keep them out of the loop just to go to the parliament and talk about pipe bocho. Okay? We've got to get them to do some serious work on the ground. And we need to have very specialized expertise or social intervention units in special localities to help people. We need very qualified people to do this, whether they are psychologists, counselors, what have you. We've got to get in there. Because every poor household or marginalized household is unique. They are just not a number. Of course, I'm not going to call Mandela to come to head this commission, but that's the type of integrity we need. I can't believe with 16 million adult members in this country, we can't get 7 honest men and women to do this job. Something is wrong in this country, you know. We've got to pack it up. Or ask somebody to bomb us down. So basically the commission is something that will be accountable direct to Parliament. We have a lot of commissions, but none of them are accountable direct to Parliament. Not the EC, not the HRC, none of them. They are all appointed by the executive and they only answer to the executive. They can't even table their reports in Parliament. This commission which we are proposing under the Act will be directly accountable to Parliament, and the members will be selected by a bipartisan parliamentary select committee. Meaning both sides of the House having members to select these members of the commission, who will then be vetted by civil society with nominations, and finally the PM really will have no choice. I don't care who the PM is. So we'll really have no choice but to tell the RO, these are the 7 good men and women who have to solve this problem, and let it appoint. And then they will have powers to call up agencies, to allocate resources to agencies, as well as they will be accountable to the public because they will publish reports. So basically, very quickly, this is our proposal. The bill here, I want to summarize, and I hope you will all go and have a look at it and then your support, because we have got, just to give you an update, we had a dialogue with, or we called for a dialogue with 34 registered political parties in this country. There are 34 registered political parties, by the way. If you don't know, I didn't know there was a Malaysian Punjabi party. It was there. Alright? We invited all of them from the ROS list. 7 turned up. 7 turned up, one of which was a Barisan National Component small party which said, we are here just to observe, we don't want to be reported as being here, so I'll copy it as 6. Alright? So there were 6. Of the 6, 4 had endorsed this. That is Parti Socialist Malaysia, Parti Raya, SAPP, Sabah Progressive Party, and the Star Sabah have endorsed this. 2, PKR and BAP said they accept in principle, but they have to take it to the top leadership, so we are still waiting. And this was done in in September 2012, so we are waiting, and we are hoping, alright? Basically, and we have also done this with NGOs. Most of the NGOs have come on board to support this, so we are hoping we have more people than to. Okay, so it will be something for citizens and non-citizens, as well as protect and advance the rights of all marginalized. But most important, I think the last part, this country actually is pathetic. We do not have people having a proper discourse using research and numbers which are viable, which have integrity. All of us are playing a guessing game, and we are using numbers from 3 years ago. How do you even begin to frame the problem and the solutions? Okay, let's think about it. We need more transparency from those who provide us with this. Yeah, let's finish it. And I think I've gone through this part of the implementation. But the last but not least is the sustainability. This has to be a very long-term program, and you need to allocate resources. Right now, my computation says maybe hold on, we'll have a better number of this. Even in the development programs, for direct poverty eradication, only about 9% of the budget goes to. There could be other things which we can compute to maybe higher, but seriously, if you want to solve this problem, you've got to have serious budget allocation and resources to this. And the focus has to be on early intervention. And my last point, if you have lost the child in the first 1,000 days, might as well dump into the rubbish bin. It's the first 1,000 days of a child, and this is research done anywhere in the world. They will tell you the first 1,000 days from the time they conceive to the 3 years old is the most critical period. If we are not willing to address it, we will never be able to break this cycle of intergeneration transmission inequality in whatever form. So let's focus on our children. Thank you.